Greetings, Soul Tribe. I have more necessary words to say out loud. For example, this entire time, all I have done was point out the obvious and tell you things that you all already know of. For example, how there have been demons teaching you and your children how to behave since kindergarten. They have set up the foundation in your spirit soul ranks thereof. So, I'm going to say these words out loud that I like to label and describe as the nine-dimensional base form parable. I'm going to call it a nine-dimensional base form parable. At first, I was calling it a nine-dimensional foundation parable, but now I'm going to call it a nine-dimensional base form parable. Why do I want to label and describe this nine-dimensional base form parable so much? This is the sixth video I've done this now. Simple. Once you all know of your true natural nature's foundation, your normal nature foundation, the nature of this world, or the foundation that was implanted in you from this world, will crumble. Before I go in, take these words with you. Respect our soulful ethics in order to realign with our spirit's ethnicity. Respect our soulful ethics in order to realign with our spirit's ethnicity. At first, I was saying respect our spiritual ethics in order to realign with our soul's ethnicity, and I was saying that because the spirit and the soul are one. So I'm going to change it up a bit again to make it sound more sense, because your ethics are your foundation, and your ethnics are the empire in which that is built on top of the foundation, or built on top of the grounds. Your ethnics are what you get from a group of people you associate with the most, and your ethics are the foundational grounds you grew up upon. This nine-dimensional base form parable is going to essentially destroy your artificial ethic grounds, your fake ethic grounds. And then on top of that, the divine senses of this parable are going to essentially rebalance, or bring back to balance, or bring back to normal your current coded ethnicity, and your current coded ethnical mental qualities that you got from the people you associated with as you were growing up. Once again, your ethnics, they come from the 5 people you associate with most, and your ethics come from the foundational grounds you all grew up upon. You didn't grow up on a nine-dimensional base form parable. You grew up on the devil's grounds, period. So respect our soulful ethics in order to realign with our spirit's ethnicity. So I'm just going to explain what I like to call, this is the 6th video I've done this parable here, and I'm going to call this parable America's favorite parable also. The nine-dimensional base form parable is what I consider to be America's favorite parable. This is America's favorite parable right here. The first 4 things of this parable, this nine-dimensional base form parable, they all consist of the positive energy, the negative energy, or you could say the positive energy and the balanced energy, or you can just keep it the way I originally intended it to be before I started rearranging it to be balanced second. You could say the positive energy, the negative energy, the balanced energy, and then the quiescent energy, or the dead space energy. Those are the first 4 things of the parable right here. The positive energy, the negative energy, the balanced energy, and the dead energy. Why do I say those 4 things to be first? Those 4 things are the 4 fundamental, what I like to label and describe as the 4 fundamental human behavioral forces. The 4 fundamental human behavioral forces. Having knowledge and or awareness of those 4 fundamental human behavioral forces could help you with obtaining moral perfection. Remember, moral perfection, the moral word, the morals, like quantum, or like frequency, or like hertz, or like joules. The word morals is another measurement word. Morals is a measurement word. Think about it. It defines as concerned with the principles of right and wrong behavior, or the goodness or badness of human character. Concern. I don't like that first word, concern. I just rather that first word be awareness with the principles of right and wrong behavior, or the goodness or badness of human character. I recommend we use the word awareness. But here's the thing though. Awareness with the principles of right and wrong behavior, or the goodness or badness of human character. Awareness with it. Knowledge or perception of a situation or fact. Perception of a situation. Perception. So in other words, morals can also be defined as perception with the principles of right or wrong behavior and the goodness or badness of human character, how you see the way things be in your vicinity. You follow what I'm saying? Do things respect our soulful ethics? Do things trust our spiritual ethnicity? Or do you trust the people around you and respect the grounds you stand on right now currently, which are fake grounds and imbalanced people? Everyone has to do better. This parable will see to it that they will eventually. It's going to take a while to sink in. Moving forward. So, this 9-dimensional base form parable, the first 4 things are the 4 fundamental human behavioral forces, the 4 fundamental human behavioral forces, or the 4 fundamental emotional forces, or the 4 fundamental emotional forces, the 4 base form emotions. What are some more details about these 4? Now, see, originally it's just something I noticed. You follow what I'm saying? But as I've been going on and been doing more research or studying more research and gathering more knowledge on this here topic of our life force is our true government. Our life force is our true government. According to this topic here, I come across the 4 fundamental forces of nature. And the more I did, the more studying I did upon the 4 fundamental forces of nature, I just saw another video that talked about how those 4 things became 3. Yeah, you're right. They did. Those 4 things did become 3. What you will label and describe as the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's what those 4 things became. And those 4 things, the Father being the gravitational force, or you can consider him as Lord Brahma, or the actual Most High God of the universe. That's what the first thing is. The first thing is the gravitational force. The second thing is the electromagnetic force. We all live on the same electromagnetic field. No one is a minority to anyone. We all live on the same electromagnetic field. We are all the same in the same field. We're all on the same level on the same field, the same wave, the same energy horizon. Everyone is. Moving forward. The third thing, the strong nuclear force, or the balance energy. This first thing is the positive energy, the gravitational force. Second thing is the electromagnetic force, negative energy. And the third thing is the balance energy, or the strong nuclear force. And the fourth thing is the weak nuclear force, the dead energy, or the quiescent space. Quiescent energy. I don't necessarily like to use the word dead to label and describe this here specific slot, because this is also where you are all stuck in, where the 9 deadly sins have you pinned down. The 9 deadly sins disposition have you pinned down globally. This is where you're all stuck in currently. Continuing. So, the 9-dimensional base form parable. The first 4 things of the parable can be labeled and described as the 4 fundamental human behavioral forces, or the 4 fundamental forces of nature that all became one, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Now remember, the Father. What is the Father in actuality for us? The Father is what it could be labeled and described as our highest nature. We have 2 higher natures. Our absolute highest nature could be labeled and described as the Father's nature, the unconditional love. Our second highest nature, the Son's nature, that could be unconditional balance. That could be labeled and described as balance right there. Our Father's nature is of our subconscious mind. The Son's nature is of our conscious mind. The Son's nature is balance. The Father's nature is all love. And the third thing's nature is the devil, in which instilled the 9 deadly sins into our mind heart spaces and are causing them to plagiarize us, and or causing those 9 deadly sins dispositions to dictate our actions all the days of our lives. Those 4 things became 3 things, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Or, how I like to see it, me personally, those 4 things became 1 thing, the King of Kings. Those 4 things became 1 thing, the King of Kings. And the King of Kings' nature consists of a positive energy now, a negative energy, a balanced energy, and a quiescent energy, the reality in which we are all in. The King of Kings, his essence, gave us our reality. Moving forward now. So, the first four things to the story. The King of Kings' positive nature. The King of Kings' force nature. What is force literally? The second thing, negative energy. I don't want to consider it the King of Kings' negative energy, because when you look at it in actuality, It is a small voltage, an attribute. What does the word force literally define as? The word force literally defines as strength or energy as an attribute of physical movement or action. Strength or energy as an attribute of physical movement or action. Action, all physical things, right? That's what the electromagnetic force is for us all. It's a force. It's the King of Kings force. That's what. Now the third thing is grasp some things from that first. Grasp some things from that. The electromagnetic force is the King of Kings force. The electromagnetic force energy, or the electromagnetic wave, the electromagnetic field, is the King of Kings energy, the King of Kings force. It is our strength or our energy as our attribute for our physical movement and or our physical actions. That's what the electromagnetic force is, the King of Kings force. Third thing, the strong nuclear force. the strong nuclear force. The strong nuclear force. This can be labeled and described as the balance energy. You don't have to buy this, of course not. This is studying I've done, the research I've looked into, the research I've contemplated on. This is all things that I've studied. You don't have to believe any of this. So, the third thing is the strong nuclear force. This is the King of Kings balanced nature, or the King of Kings conscious mind. Once again, the King of Kings, the strong nuclear force, the balanced energy. This balanced energy, or this strong nuclear force, is the reason our reality has been created. In other words, long story short, the strong nuclear force is what distributes, or where the weak nuclear force derives from. And the weak nuclear force is the quiescent energy, the reality in which we are in. That's what the weak nuclear force is. The strong nuclear force created the reality we are in. The balanced energy creates the reality. The King of Kings created our reality. The King of Kings created our reality. Christ rules everything around me. Moving forward. So those are the first four things. Those four things became what I like to label and describe as one thing, the King of Kings himself, or the King of Kings life force. Your Jesus, my Yahweh Shai. If we were to pick names and give Jesus a name, one of his real names to use, I would pick the name Yahweh Shai or Yeshua. One of those two names. Moving forward. So, moving on to the fifth one now. Because remember, the first four things created three things: the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Father is our highest nature. The King of, or the Son is our second highest nature. The Father is our subconscious mind. The King is our conscious mind. But the Father and the King, scientifically speaking, or speaking in the terms of physics or life science or earth science and or space science, the King of Kings, all four of these aspects, the King of Kings is the Father and the Son in one, looking at it from a scientific space or perspective. Moving forward, so the Holy Spirit is the fifth thing in this story here. The Holy Spirit is the fifth thing in this story. And what is the Holy Spirit in actuality? The Holy Spirit in actuality, whether you want to buy this or not, you don't have to. I'm going to say it because it's the truth. I'm only going to speak the truth to you. The Holy Spirit is the devil. Who is the Holy Spirit then? Who is Yahweh, Yahweh Allah Kai Dios Yachakan, or Jehovah Ma'at and Lil Isis? Who is that? Who is this entity truly? You want to know what this entity is truly? The current government of our entire world. Allah is the current government of our entire world. Physical reality government. Allah has 99 different names, including, or 99 other names, including the one name Allah. And it just so happens that a lot of those names stand for destroyer, manipulator, deceiver, corrupter. The devil, in other words. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. It's just the truth. Anyways, you're going to eventually end up having to buy it no matter what. You all take comfort in allowing demons to raise you and your children, or teach you and your children how to behave. You were all comfortable with allowing demons to teach you and your children how to behave since kindergarten. And the only reason why you were comfortable with that is because of the foundational grounds the demon had you grow up upon. And the things, the nine deadly sins in which the demon is putting in your head over and over again. So the first four things are, once again, the positive energy. Why do I keep saying this? Moral perfection. And then once again, morals. And morals is another measurement word. I have to keep pausing the video. Made me lose track of my thought. So morals are another measurement word. What do morals measure? What does the word morals? What is the word morals used to measure? Human behavior or principles. What are principles? Principles, fundamental truth or proposition, which serves as the foundation for a system of belief, behavior, or for a chain of reasoning. Foundation for belief, behavior, for chain of reasoning. Foundation for it. The foundation for it. So in other words, where your belief, behavior, and your chain of reasoning stem from, or strand from, or branch from. You follow what I'm saying? Depending on how your foundation is set up, is how your behavior, beliefs, and or your chain of reasoning will act. And if you have beliefs, behaviors, or a chain of reasoning stemming from the devil's foundation, your belief, behavior, and or chain of reasoning will be of the devil's. You follow what I'm saying? So knowing the King of Kings' true nature will give you not only a full sight of moral perfection, but it'll also alter your behavioral practices and your behavioral movements and your behavioral actions. It'll alter them all. It'll change you for the better. Fifth part of this story is the devil itself, the devil of the universe, and the devil of our world currently. That's the fifth part of this story. Now, the sixth part of this story is what can be labeled and described as the devil's sword. The devil is using this sword to pin the seventh part of this story down, which is the most important part of this story. Well, they're all as equally important according to my actual self, but to my, I would like to say my lower nature, the seventh part of this story is the most important. Everything is as equally as important, even the devil's sword in this story. Everything is as equally as important to know about. Everything is, but according to me, the seventh part is the most important. So the devil is using the sixth part as a sword to pin down the seventh part of this story to the 9 deadly sins disposition. That's what the devil is using the sword to pin the seventh part of the story down to. The 9 deadly sins disposition. I'm going to tell you what they are in a minute after I finish telling you all the important aspects of the story here. So the sixth part of this story is the devil's sword. What does the devil's sword consist of in real life? Every white man, every so-called white woman, every so-called white child, anywhere at all, anywhere they are on this planet. White men, white women, and white children are of the devil's sword right now currently. You're the devil's sword right now currently. And the devil is using you to entrench the seventh part of the story into the 9 deadly sins disposition. The 9 deadly sins disposition. You all know of 7 deadly sins. Well, I've studied more, dug more, researched more, found out it's 9 because there are 2 more sins outside of the major 7 deadly sins. There are two more deadly sins outside of the major 7 deadly sins, and they are fear and ignorance. Fear and ignorance. So the sixth part of the story is every white man, woman, and child alive on this planet. The devil's sword, in other words. Now, the seventh part of this story is every melanated man, melanated woman, and melanated child on this planet, in which the devil is using the sword to pin down into the 9 deadly sins disposition. The devil is using the white people to pin the melanated people globally down into the 9 deadly sins disposition. That's the seventh part of this story, the most important part of this story, in my opinion. To my let go self. My let go self sees every melanated man, woman, and child alive to be the most important thing in all of reality. My actual self sees all of you as equally important to know about. And then my higher self just wants to love you. I just want to love you. That's what my higher self wants to do. My higher self just wants to love you. My actual self wants things to be right around you. And my let go self, or my lower self, sees all of you in your problematic stances right now currently. My lower self sees all of you, or my let go self sees all of you in an incorrect stance right now currently, and you need to be shifted to a proper stance. in order to be what will no longer contribute to my hatred for anything growing. I do not wish to hate anything. I only wish to love everything. And I only want everything around me to be just right. My actual self just wants everything around me to be just right. My highest self is the Father. My actual self is the Son. My let go self is my physical body's unconscious mind. My let go self is my unconscious mind. My first highest or my second highest self. The unconscious mind is the first me. The Son is the second me. And the Father is the third me. The Holy Spirit is an entity in which resides outside of we all, completely different from us in every way possible, using the sixth part of the story, every white man, woman, and child on this planet, to pin down every melanated man, woman, and child on this planet. What is this in more detail? The sixth part of the story is a piece of the seventh part of the story, broken away from it and grafted into a weapon that will be used to pin down by the heart every melanated man, woman, and child on this planet, or the original God body, into the nine, like I said, into the 9 deadly sins disposition. So it's a piece of God broken off of God to enslave God. The white people are a piece of the black people, or a piece of God broken off of the black people, BKA God, and used to enslave the black people, BKA God, globally. You follow what I'm saying? So the eighth part of this story now enters the reawakening, or the re-awareness, or the relearning of the King of all kings. Our true nature, our one true nature is the King of all kings. That is our one true nature. He is our force. He is our energy. He is our strength. Trust the King of kings. Trust the Spirit, because the King of kings is the Spirit. The King of kings is the embodiment of the ether. The King of kings is the embodiment of the astral. And the King of kings is also the embodiment of the quantum. The King of kings is all of these things in one. Our true nature, our real nature, our normal, natural, beautiful, and good nature. That's what this is here. So I'm letting you know about it, because it'll shatter everything else that the devil had you growing up upon, and it'll balance out everything else that the devil has you imbalanced with. Once you receive your balance and the foundation is destroyed, everything else that the devil is trying to bring upon and bring into our lives will dissipate. No other way to get into us, and no other way to become our enemy again. Enemy. Enemy. Devil will no longer be our enemy once this here 9-dimensional base form parable settles into your spiritual grounds. Moving forward. So the eighth part of this story now is the King of Kings himself, the reawakening to the King of Kings, the reawareness of the King of Kings, the relearning of the King of Kings. Once you learn who he is, once you learn what the King of Kings' spiritual nature is, you have no problem accepting it, because it's the second part of the eighth part right there. The eighth part of the story is the reawakening to the King of Kings, or the reawareness. Reawakening is awareness, relearning him. The second part of the eighth part is the reincarnation, accepting him, accepting his grounds, accepting these spiritual grounds, accepting these soulful grounds. Accept the King of Kings' soulful ethics, and reawaken to the King of Kings' spiritual ethnicity. Respect our soulful ethics in order to realign with our spirit's ethnicity. Trust in our spirit's ethnicity, which is our natural nature, our King of Kings nature. Respect our soulful ethics, which is our King of Kings ethics, our King of Kings grounds, which are of peace, love, unity, and advancement. Peace, respect, balance, and progression. Calmness, serenity, love, and righteousness. What's good, beautiful, normal, and natural concomitantly. What are the abilities, qualities, and achievements of the King of Kings? Do you know? What does the word respect literally define as? What does the word trust literally define as? Trust and respect the King of Kings. The King of Kings is balance and love combined. Balanced mind, loving grounds. Balanced mind, loving grounds. Balanced ethics, loving ethics. Unconditionally loving ethics. That's what the King of Kings is. That's what our natural nature is for us all, truly. Moving forward. That's the eighth part, though. The eighth part. How can it be labeled and described in the physical reality? What's going to ultimately happen is the King of Kings, when the reawakening occurs, the King of Kings is going to step to the devil that is pinning the melanated people down, or that is pinning God down with a piece of God right now, and boot it. 47,000 plus yards away. Previous video I said 45,000 yards. Well, this video I'm going to say 47,000 yards away. Reason why I'm going to say 47,000 yards away is because of the Super Seasons 47 game that I came up with, or the Super Yahweh Shai 47 game I came up with. Go watch through all my videos in order to learn more about it, if you would like to. So, the King of Kings, once the reawakening happens, is going to walk up to the devil and peace pile booted 47,000 plus yards away. And once that happens, that's the peace pile, reawakening. Afterwards, the King of Kings is going to use all 6 arms to pull the devil's sword out of God's body by the melanated sellout's handle of the sword. 2 hands on the handle. It ain't gonna take much to get the sellouts back on our team. And then after that, the sword itself, the metal part of the sword, or the most deadliest part of the sword, the one that cuts. Gonna require about 2 extra hands or 3 extra hands to make sure that when I pull the sword out, since it's a living sword, as I pull it out, I want to make sure it doesn't have any type of way or chance or opportunity to cut me or to attack me for pulling it out of me. You follow what I'm saying? Because let's never forget, these people, they want us to go through these games. They need us to go through these games. They crave us to go through these games. You follow what I'm saying? The only thing they live to do is be our detriment in every way possible. They are the devil's sword. They are not the King of Kings sword. They are the devil's sword. They're about to be the King of Kings sword by force very soon if this parable settles in properly. Moving forward. So the 8th part of the story, the King of Kings, peace pile, walks up, boots the devil 47,000 yards away because it's a Super Jesus 47 game. Then here comes the reincarnation part, the acceptance. So I'm going to snatch the sword out of the people and force sheath it. Jordan B. Peterson voice. Those who have swords and know how to use them, yet keep them sheathed, shall inherit the earth. But unfortunately, we are not about to keep this sword sheathed for long at all, because the devil's going to come right back after I do this next part. So after I sheathe the 6th part of the story into the cosmic sheath that the King of all Kings is thereof, next I am going to spiritually uplift and or pick up the melanated people globally and fuse with them. The King of Kings is. Remember, all of this is my actual idea. All of this is my actual idea. This is my actual idea here. This ain't my physical body idea. This is my eyes actual idea right here. My actual idea. It's not my idea, it's my actual idea. So that's my eyes idea. You'll get what that means later. We have 2 higher natures. We have a balanced higher nature. We have a loving higher nature. The loving higher nature just so happens to be our subconscious mind, heart of hearts. And the balanced higher nature just so happens to be our conscious mind, third eye chakra. Or solar plexus chakra, or soul star chakra. You follow me? Conscious mind. Moving forward. So, the reawakening. Peace pile. Boot the devil 47,000 yards away. That'll destroy your foundation. That'll destroy your fake foundation right there. The reawakening will. Or it'll just bring you a reawareness to who the King of Kings really is. And then the reincarnation, the acceptance of it. The acceptance of it. What do you have to, how can you accept things? You have to know what it is to accept it, right? I'm going to ruin your foundation by introducing you all to the King of Kings, and then I'm going to make you all accept them. Incarnation. That'll be, and then the King of Kings will be the force in which drives your behavior to be what it is. You follow me? If I said that correctly. The reawakening. You could consider it the conscious mind aspect first, the reawakening, and then you could consider the reincarnation a foundational thing. You could. But the thing is, let's never forget, once the King of Kings is reawakened in the spirit, it's going to kick the devil off of God's body and leave the sword and his body exposed. And now they're both minds. Pull the sword out by force sheath it, spiritually uplift every melanated man, woman, and child on this planet in order to fuse with them. I am trying to reincarnate through you. No longer trying, I'm just going to do what it takes to reincarnate through you all. I am me, this I right here, the actual I. Not the physical me, the I me. The actual me is going to reincarnate through you all. That's the whole point of this. Moving forward. So reincarnation, acceptance of it. Then the ninth dimension to the story. The ninth dimensional part to the story. What is it? The resurrection. We came back to our divine senses versus the devil's 9 deadly sins disposition. We came back to our 9 divine senses disposition versus the devil's 9 deadly sins disposition. How you like that? The nine divine senses versus the 9 deadly sins. The 9 divine senses disposition versus the 9 deadly sins disposition. How you like that, for example? How you like that? So, resurrection, we have now returned to our 9 divine senses disposition, and at this moment, the devil is going to make its return or come back, because evil always comes back. Evil cannot do anything in this world at all other than make all things bad and worse for everyone in it. Evil can only get worse. Good can only get better. Evil things can only get worse. Good things can only get better. Evil can only get worse. Good can only get better. The King of Kings is good and balanced all the time, and all the time the King of Kings is good and balanced. So once we come back to our 9 divine senses, I'm going to tell you what they are in a moment. I got plenty of time. Versus the 9 deadly dispositions, the 9 deadly sins dispositions that the devil wants us to remain in. The devil's going to come back to try to enforce the 9 deadly sins disposition on us again and force us back into it once we come to this resurrection part. But now, here, the final battle shall commence. We stand as a fully fused or fully reincarnated King of Kings against this one tiny, minuscule devil. Who do you think is going to win this fight? If you have a multi-trillion-year-old spirit against a multi-billion-year-old entity, who do you think is going to win truly? The one with the most experience, right? Yeah, the saying goes, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Yeah, we're much, much more bigger than the devil in every way possible. We truly are, and this is why the devil has made our fall much harder. It took the devil years and years and years to entrench the 9 deadly sins disposition into our mind, heart spaces, and cause us to fall. And yes, we were a big thing to bring down. We really were. Why do you think it took so long to bring us down? And why do you think there are so many lies being placed out here in order to keep us down? That's what it does. That's what they're about. So, afterwards, this final fight will commence. You can imagine any kind of final fight with this fight here. So, once the devil returns, I'm going to mention this first before I move on to the next thing. Once the devil returns to put us back into the 9 deadly sins disposition, what's ultimately going to happen is we're going to fight it. This will be the resettlement part. The resettlement part. So, right now, currently, we're in our 9-dimensional base form, right? And once the devil makes his return, we're going to fight it in our 9-dimensional base form for a while. But then, throughout the fight, we're going to transform and or gain more power or become greater in the fight. Morph in time. You follow what I'm saying? If you want to think about it, never mind. So, once we are in the final battle with the devil, the King of Kings, once the King of Kings is in the final battle with the devil, our one nature is in its final battle with the devil. All of this is spiritual works, by the way. Internal works, internal, non-physical. You won't be able to see anything happening until it's happening. Once the final battle commences between the King of Kings and the devil, what's ultimately going to happen is that we are going to make a transformation into what could be labeled and described as an infinite omnipresent thinking mind. We are going to transform into the infinite omnipresent thinking mind. That's when we're going to be even more powerful than the devil and be able to shut it down in more ways than we can possibly imagine. The infinite omnipresent thinking mind. What is the infinite omnipresent thinking mind in real life? It can be labeled and described as a quantum ego instinct. Quantum ego instinct, or a transcendent ego somatic, or the transcendent ego somatic. That's what it can be labeled and described in real life. Meaning it's the most highest of the highest conscious mind to tap into, and the one conscious mind in which the devil has truly zero chance against. Truly zero chance. It'll be like taking candy from a baby, quite literally, because the devil is very cherubim-like. So, that there is the 9-dimensional base form parable. And then to close the story out more, once we are in the final battle with this here demon, the King of Kings, now will be the time to unsheathe the sword and slay the dragon, or the devil demon, who wants to put us back in the 9 deadly sins disposition on sight, and with overwhelming power and might. You follow what I'm saying? So, Before I close this video out, let's talk about the nine divine senses and the 9 deadly sins disposition. The 9 divine senses disposition and the 9 deadly sins disposition. What are the 9 divine senses? Like I said, we had 5 senses at first, but then I studied more research, or I did more studying, and found out we actually have 7 divine senses. Then I did more research and studied more. Now it turns out we actually have 9. So what are they? The first one is what you get from earthing. The first sense is what you get from earthing, or the earth star chakra sense. It's earthing, right? It due to us being disconnected from it so severely with all this concrete on the ground and all this colonial infrastructure going on in the world, we've lost track of what it would be like if we are earthing. You follow what I'm saying? So it's kind of difficult to label and describe the precise sense we get from earthing. But for one thing I've noticed, it's just a simple attribute that contributes to our body's well-being and our maintenance and the remaining balance internally. Earthing. It also helps with meditation and things of that nature as well. Do your research on it. The second sense will be the root chakra's sense of smell. The third sense will be the sacral chakra's sense of taste. The fourth sense will be the solar plexus chakra sense of sight. The fifth sense will be the heart chakra's sense of feel or touch. Remember, all of these attributes are all in one. All of them are. They're all connected and all constituents of one another. Did you know one of the heart chakra's qualities and or abilities and or traits is that it is unhurt, untouched, and unbeaten? Principal heart of hearts is untouched, unhurt, and unbeaten. Shout out to the GDs, the greatest defenders, or the gangster disciples. Moving forward. The sixth one on this list right here, which will be the throat chakra, its sense will be hearing. That will be the sixth sense, or the throat chakra sense, hearing. Then you have, I said earthing, smell. Then you have taste, sight, touch, hearing. Then you have the 7th sense on this list here, because it's a list of 9, let's not forget. So therefore it wouldn't land on a 6th sense like it would originally. The 7th sense on this hierarchy listing will be considered as the ego. What is ego? Ego is the part of the mind that mediates, meaning form a connection between the conscious and the unconscious, and is responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity, also a sense of self-respect, also a sense of self-importance, also a sense of self-esteem. Your divine senses, all of those senses are in one sense, and it can be labeled and described as thine own sense for thine own well-being. A sense for your own well-being is what ego can be labeled and described as, or at least the natural ego, the natural quantum ego, or the natural nature ego, or the King of Kings ego. The King of Kings ego wants to see to it that your well-being will always be satisfied, and that your well-being will always be top priority, that your well-being will always be manifest. That's what the King of Kings ego gives you. That's what the natural ego gives you. Your well-being always at its best. A sense of well-being, a sense of one's own well-being, a person's sense of well-being. That's what the ego is, a person's sense of well-being. And then you have the 7th sense, or the 8th sense in this scenario. The 8th sense would be your auspicious vision, the crown chakra sense. The crown chakra sense would be the sense of auspicious vision, meaning a vision of yours from the Most High God that only sees to it that you will be bound to success and success only. A sense that sees to it that you will be successful in everything that you do in your life and everything that you do in your life only. You follow what I'm saying? That'll be your 8th sense right there. And then your 9th sense will be the quantum, the source. That'll be the 9th sense right there, the quantum sense, the neuromuscular junction sense, or the acetylcholine sense. That'll be your 9th sense right there, quantum. Now, the 9 deadly sins disposition. And those 9 senses, those 9 divine senses disposition are what we're going to return to once we allow the King of Kings to reincarnate through us all. And once we resurrect to the King of Kings, come back to his divine senses versus the devil's sins. Now, what are the devil's 9 deadly sins disposition? Because those are the King of Kings' 9 divine senses disposition. So what are the devil's 9 deadly sins disposition? Remember, it's the 7 deadly sins with it's the 7 major deadly sins with 2 more outside, set up just like the chakras. Remember, it's 7 major chakras and it's 2 chakras outside, the Earth Star Chakra and the Soul Star Chakra, right? So the first sin on this list is ignorance. That's the Earth Star's connection right there, or that's because we have ignorance of the earth. Remember, this is just a parable and our measurement of who and or what we all are currently truly. You see, the first sin is ignorance. That's the Earth Star Chakra's connected sin. The second sin for the root chakra is greed. That's the root chakra's connected sin, greed. The third one is lust. The sacral chakra's connected sin. Then you have the fourth one, which is gluttony. That's the solar plexus connected sin. And the fifth one, you have, let me see, it was ignorance, greed, lust, gluttony, greed, lust, gluttony. Now for the heart chakra, I said it was pride. I have it listed in a certain way, my own personal way. Pride is in the heart right now. Pride is the sin of the fifth part of the 9 deadly sins hierarchy, or the 9 deadly sins disposition. Pride is. And the 9 deadly sins disposition is what has you stuck in your dead disposition right now currently too, or your incorrect dead disposition. Right now, I'm trying to trick talk you all to stand on an unconditional loving disposition with a balanced mind, balanced love. That's what I'm trying to trick talk you all into standing on right now. The 9 divine senses disposition versus the 9 deadly sins disposition. So moving forward, pride is the 5th one. The 6th one is wrath. The throat chakra's connected sin is wrath. According to the way I have it set up currently. You can have it set up however you want to, because they all attack the same area: our spirit soul, our mind heart, our ethics, our ethnics, and our ethics. Remember, they want you stupid and evil. Real stupid, fake evil. That's what they want you. And that's what the 9 deadly sins give you. Real stupidity and fake evil moving forward. So wrath will be the throat chakra sin. Now, the third eye sin will be sloth. That's what I call it. I call the third eye sin sloth. That's the third eye's connected sin, sloth. And then the crown chakra's connected sin is envy or jealousy. The crown chakra's connected sin is jealousy or envy. Having or showing a feeling of envy of someone and their achievements or an advantage. That's the definition of jealous. The definition of jealous is having or showing a feeling of envy of someone and their achievements or advantages. Envy is in the definition of jealousy. Envy is jealousy. To be envious is to be jealous, and jealousy is to be jealous. You follow what I'm saying? The next sin on this list, and the final sin, the 9th sin, is fear. Fear of your quantum most high self. Fear of the most high God. Fear itself is the 9th sin on this list. Fear. You don't need fear for anything at all. And once you know who the true God is, once you all know who the true God is, your fears of it will be gone. You will have no need to fear what is telling you not to fear it. There is nothing, it's not even telling you anything. It's just, there is no need to fear it at all. So, the resurrection, once again, will bring you back to those 9 divine senses that I just told you about. And it'll take you away from what I just told you about, those 9 deadly sins disposition. The 9 divine senses disposition versus the 9 deadly sins disposition. This is what the 9th part of the story will cover the most. And once you tap into the omnipresent thinking mind, or the infinite omnipresent thinking mind, BKA the quantum ego instinct, all of your fears of the Most High God within you will be eradicated. They all will. And that's the best step we need right there. That's one of the major steps we need to eliminate the fears that we have of who we actually are. Because the reason why all those religious beliefs told you to fear God is because you are God. And the more you fear yourself, the less you will work with yourself, right or wrong. The more you fear yourself, the less you will work with yourself. That's all I have for this video here. I wanted to explain that 9-dimensional base form parable one more good time before I move on to other things. So, once again, the resurrection part in the ninth story is simply getting you all to come back to your 9 divine senses and abandoning the devil's 9 deadly sins. Come back to your 9 divine senses disposition and abandon the devil's 9 deadly sins disposition. Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is not a victim mentality. I'm just aware of what struck me, aware of what strickens we, and aware of what will not stop striking us at all. Which is why it's not about a competition with me. It's only about the awareness and knowledge of what needs to be stopped. Those strikes. I don't desire to be your king or your leader. I only desire to do or say things that will defend and protect you from those strikers. Missed the part, so be it. Therefore, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Matthew 22:39. Defend your neighbor as you defend yourself, at least those who are worthy. Be lifted, not be less in the spirit, and walk good for all the days of your lives. Peace, love, unity, and advancement to you all, my family. Oh yeah, one more note before I close out. So it turns out the devil cursed all of humanity with something negative, right? So why can't somebody from God's team curse all of humanity with something balancing? Peace, family.